Now let's see what's making the ITV News headlines where you are.
As the UK gets ready to welcome in 2025, across the world, New Year celebrations have begun. New Zealand showed the way, with the skies also lighting up in Australia and beyond. But in Scotland and parts of the north of England, wild weather has put paid to many street parties. The show will go on in London, however, with fireworks along the banks of the Thames. And New Year brings new honours for Gareth Southgate, Stephen Fry and Sadiq Khan.
This is ITV News with Romilly Weeks.
Good evening. There's a little over 6 hours to go until 2025 reaches the UK, but in large parts of the world, the celebrations are well underway. Auckland in New Zealand was the first major city to see fireworks light the midnight sky. Then came a spectacular display on Sydney Harbour Bridge. The celebrations are now spreading across Asia, as Alex Isat reports.
A new year has begun. Auckland, New Zealand rang in 2025 with a spectacular display. Australia followed. An estimated 1 million people lined the streets of Sydney to catch the 12-minute show, with 500 million people watching online. A more subdued affair at Tokyo's Tokudaiji Temple, with a traditional bell-ringing ceremony. Although not too far away, more pyrotechnics were on show. A moment of silence was held in South Korea for those who lost their lives in the recent plane crash, followed by bell ringing as the clock struck midnight. Beijing hosted nearly 30 simultaneous countdowns across the city. Hong Kong began their celebrations through the night with star-studded musical and dance performances, ending with 4 sets of fireworks. And in Thailand and Taiwan, their own amazing displays were on show. It takes 26 hours for the entire world to welcome in the new year. Alex Isat, ITV News.
Here, some events to welcome in the new year have been cancelled because of dire weather warnings. Firework displays in Edinburgh, Blackpool and Newcastle will not go ahead. From Edinburgh, our Scotland correspondent Peter Smith reports.
There will be no happy Hogmanay on Edinburgh streets this year. One of the world's most famous events for bringing in the new year is off due to high winds. But people in the city today could be forgiven for thinking this weather isn't actually too bad. A bit blustery, but this is Scotland and it is winter. Organisers say the event had to be cancelled though because of bad weather in previous days, leaving them no time to set up for Hogmanay.
Fortunately, if we lose that window to build the stages, put the giant screens up, the safety infrastructure, it's just not safe to have 50,000 people in the city centre.
So even though the weather's all right now, it's the fact that it's been terrible windy weather for the last couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's still blustery just now. It may well be that these even dry down from midnight, and it could have been possible for fireworks to happen, but without the infrastructure to keep the 50,000 people safe in the city centre, we can't have the event.
More than 50,000 people had already bought tickets for the Edinburgh Street Party. They will be contacted about getting a refund, but many had travelled here from far and wide just for this Scottish Hogmanay experience.
We came from Texas.
Texas, that's a long way for a street party that's been cancelled. How are you feeling?
Yeah, we're pretty bummed out about it.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So what are you going to do?
That's what we're trying to figure out right now.
Maybe a pub or something, yeah.
So you're not going to bed early?
No,
definitely
we sail for the new year.
Your own party's not been cancelled then, you'll find somewhere?
No, we'll find something,
yeah.
I was looking forward to the parade, to be fair.
Are you pretty gutted?
Yeah, I'm pretty gutted, to be fair. Yeah, there's really not much to do about it. So, play board games, hotel, that's it.
Board games in the hotel.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year.
There has already been an impact on public transport, with train services cancelled due to flooding. Yellow and amber weather warnings are in place overnight and into New Year's Day.
There is a pretty complex weather forecast in Scotland over the next few days. We've got these high winds in Edinburgh, there's snow expected in the north of Scotland and potential flooding in the south. So there is a lot going on, just not on the streets of Scotland's capital this Hogmanay.
Some indoor Hogmanay events will be going ahead in the city tonight, but with 50,000 people now suddenly looking for somewhere to go in the wind and rain, the unthinkable idea of ringing in the new year by just getting an early night might become more appealing. Peter Smith, ITV News, Edinburgh.
No early night in London, though, for the tens of thousands who will gather on the banks of the Thames. Final preparations are underway there to mark the midnight moment, and our correspondent John Ray is there. John, some hours to go yet, but the fireworks are very much still on.
Yeah, and with apologies to Scotland, to Blackpool, to Newcastle, all the places have had to cancel their fireworks, keeping them in the box tonight. Here in London, just now, the conditions are just about perfect. The worst the weather will do, Romilly, is perhaps be a bit breezy, perhaps get the tens of thousands of people expected to line the banks of the Thames a little bit wet. They are promised in return, though, truly a spectacular show. More than 12,000 fireworks, 450 lights. Many months in the planning, days of intense preparations. It'll all be over in a little less or a little more than 10 minutes. A reminder, it is a ticketed event. If you don't have a ticket, much better to watch it from the comfort of your own home. And if you are on the sofa, of course, you can stay warm and you can stay dry, and you do not have to fight for a late bus or a tube journey home. It will be loud and it will do London proud tonight, we're told. The biggest organised annual fire display anywhere in Europe.
John, sounds great. Thank you. In other news, and a team of US investigators, including aviation experts from Boeing, have been examining the site of Sunday's deadly plane crash in South Korea. The aircraft was seen having engine trouble and it received a bird strike warning from the ground. But a malfunction of the landing gear is believed to be the main cause of the tragedy. All but 2 of the 181 people on board were killed. And American officials have said Chinese state-sponsored hackers stole documents from the US Treasury Department earlier this month. It's unclear what type of documents were taken. China's foreign ministry claims it opposes all forms of hacking. In Wales, the ambulance service has declared a critical incident. Last night, hundreds of 999 calls were waiting to be answered, and there are lengthy delays at hospitals to hand over patients. Hamish Oscar is in Cardiff this evening. Hamish, is this a clear indication of a system under pressure?
Romilly, this goes over and above the usual winter pressures that people in Wales are used to. To give some kind of context, the Welsh Ambulance Service said that in the week running up to Christmas, they had 500 more calls relating to an immediate risk to life than they did in the same week the previous year. And the health service is struggling to adapt to that increased demand. There are ambulances up and down the country waiting outside hospitals because they can't deliver their patients due to pressure on beds. The Welsh Government say they spent £180 million this year to try and improve care in the community, to try and reduce that pressure, but clearly they still remain. The declaration of a critical incident is the ambulance service's way of asking for more help from other services. Today, the South Wales Fire and Rescue Service said that they will now be assessing whether they can be deployed to calls that go beyond their statutory duty, i.e. you may call for an ambulance and end up with a fire engine at your door. But this is Hogmanay, it's New Year's Eve, it's always a busy time for the health service, for emergency providers. There are things that we can all do to help, for example, avoiding setting off fireworks, for example, here in Wales, but also simple things like booking your transport home tonight so that no one is tempted to drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, but mainly to avoid calling 999 unless it's a genuine emergency, to drink responsibly, and if you have loved ones in hospital, given the amount of infectious disease, visit them responsibly too.
Hamish, thank you very much for that. Rail passengers are facing a disruption to their travel plans today as train managers go on strike. Avanti West Coast managers walked out due to a dispute over rest days. They will also strike on Thursday. A reduced service will be running across most routes, but Avanti have warned those trains will be very busy. And the veteran radio DJ Johnny Walker has died at the age of 79. He enjoyed a 58-year career, retiring in October due to ill health. The BBC Director General Tim Davie said he was a pop radio pioneer and a champion of great music. And finally, a rise Sir Gareth after a summer where England came tantalisingly close to a Euros win. Former manager Gareth Southgate has been knighted, along with the actor Stephen Fry and the London Mayor Sadiq Khan. The King's New Year's honours list recognises more than 1,200 people from fields including sport, business and entertainment, as well as the work of unsung heroes who make major contributions to their local communities and charity. Charlotte Cross reports.
From stars of the stage and screen, to sporting heroes, to campaigners for charity and for justice. Just some of those named in the 2024 New Year's honours.
The computer system Post Office spent an arm and a leg on is faulty.
Among them, some of those at the heart of the Post Office Horizon IT scandal.
It must be a bug.
Played by Will Mellor in the show, Lee Castleton has spent years fighting for sub-postmasters wrongfully accused and convicted.
Very, very proud and very humbled. It's fantastic. It's been a wonderful year, you know, it's a fantastic way to cap a year, but I would much rather the whole group were treated fairly, honestly and compensated, redressed properly than receive the honour, even though I am absolutely so grateful for the honour.
Former England manager Gareth Southgate was knighted for services to football, while Olympic gold medalist Keely Hodgkinson is now an MBE. As is Dawn Astle, who set up a foundation to raise awareness of brain injury in sport in honour of her father, the late England striker Jeff Astle.
Dad would be incredibly proud, I know he would be. And it marks, I suppose, a culmination of this extraordinary journey that we've been on, this overwhelming desire to make a difference to others, like my dad.
There has been some controversy. London Mayor Sadiq Khan was recognised for political and public service, despite a 200,000-strong petition opposing the honour. The oldest recipient was 103-year-old veteran Colin Bell, a Mosquito pilot in the Second World War. He was given the British Empire Medal for charitable fundraising and public speaking.
I was quite bowled over. I don't see myself in that sort of category at all, but, as I've got it, it's very good for the family CV.
There were hundreds more too, announced at a special event in London, honouring some of the best and brightest in Britain of 2024. Charlotte Cross, ITV News.
And that is all from us for now, but do join us to welcome in the new year from 10 to midnight. Until then, have a great evening. Goodbye.